allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we start our regular meeting, I would like to recognize two of our police officers who decided they want to retire rather than be police officers. But sometimes I don't blame them, but in this case, it's definitely the town's loss. Councilman King, since you are liaison to the police department,
Well,
would you,
in that case, I gotta switch them out.
would you go up forward there and call them up and read them off?
Okay, sure. Let's see. We got one or two in here.
Should be one.
Okay, Police Officer Robert Liaison.
Yep.
Front and center, please. I own everything.
No problem. Get out of his pictures. Sorry.
The Town of Highlands Police Department retirement presented to Police Officer Robert Zayas for your continual contribution to the Town of Highlands Police Department since your initial appointment in 1997. Your service to the community, beginning in the Patrol Division and culminating as a representative of the Town of Highlands Police Department while assigned to the Orange County Drug Force is above exceptional. Your dedication made this community and Orange County safer. We wish you all the best in your retirement. Signed, Frank M. Pieri, Chief of Police, and Mervyn R. Livesey, Supervisor. And on behalf of the rest of the board here, I just want to personally say, as a liaison, I thank you for your service and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
And the floor is yours.
Oh. I'm good.
Oh, you got this one. Okay, good.
I'm going to do the honor of presenting the next one because I just feel kind of close to this gentleman. Come on over.
Very close.
I guess I'm not going to be selling much wings anymore, huh?
Very well.
All right. Police Officer Thomas Wheeler was appointed as a police officer in the town of Highlands in the year of 2000. During 21 years of service, you were a great leader, mentor, and dedicated member of the community. Your commitment, bravery, life-saving skills were an asset to our department, and we wish you the best in your retirement. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And please excuse me for wearing shorts.
Yeah.
Bob, can I add a little something?
Sure.
First met Bobby, about 15 years ago? When you had that trailer at the Patriot Garden, it was kind of falling apart, so you went through all that. His son and my son used to play, lived at Corbin Hill. Very passionate in the evolution of the police department. And Mr. Wheeler has been at my house a few times for calls when we needed him. And I don't know why anybody driving by Thomason's Body Shop, when he's out there with that radar gun, would even think about speeding. So, thank you, Tom.
Yes, Chief?
Thank you. I just didn't want to make you guys stay for the whole meeting. So part of their retirement is the issuance of their retirement credentials as well. But on behalf of the police department, obviously Bobby has been a great liaison at the drug task force. not only for incidents that might have been occurring in the town of Highlands, but obviously throughout the whole county. I spoke to senior investigator Tommy Watson, who was his boss, who's going to miss him, just like we will. We did offer Bob, an opportunity to come back to patrol, but as he finishes his last few years down at Clarkstown as a dispatcher, it's just time to go on. So Bob, we want to give you your retirement credentials as well, okay? And hopefully you never have to use them. Tom Wheeler. So I always relate the story of people calling and complaining about Tom Wheeler. And I would say to them, why are you complaining about him? Well, he was very loud with me. And I would say, well, that's his voice. And then occasionally people would call back after they thought about the conversation they had with Tom Wheeler. But he was relaying all the horrors he has seen on the highways here in the town of Highlands. So he wasn't giving that person a ticket. He was basically telling them, hey, listen, I've seen a lot here. And I always go back to the one story that was relayed to me years ago as Tom was on his way home on the Palisades Parkway and saw a vehicle speed past him, had a collision, burst into flames, and it was him who pulled the seat out to rescue those individuals. So then when we say life-saving, that's legit. Tom and I have had a lot of good discussions over the years that I've been here, and not that I've been here as long as him, but I've always cherished your conversations and your leadership. Tom is going to come back, hopefully work in the courts. But in the meantime, you have your retirement credentials as well, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Are there any comments from the public? Public comments from anyone? Anybody would like to say anything? No? Would anyone like to say anything in stepping away from the two retirees? Is there anything else that anyone would like to bring up as part of the meeting? No? Okay. We'll carry on then.
This is your chance to run.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Really good seeing you. Take care. Bless you.
Congratulations.
You know the first, so my connection. Thank you.
Oh, Betsy, it looks like it's you. Okay, I have a copy of the minutes from June 14th. Are there, I need a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried, thank you. Communications, I have, I'm not going to read this whole thing, especially since my voice won't let me. And surprised my son hasn't called up asking me to get some water, but this is from the Orange County Planning Board to the Orange County, or to the Town of Highlands Planning Board concerning Pine Hill Realty LLC. Justin, I'm sure you're familiar with that, but he's seeking a permit for the construction of 27 units apartment complex with a total of 93 parking spaces and 28 in-garage below 66 surface spaces. And reason for the county review, it's in 500 foot of Route 9W, and they are referring this back to our planning board.
Okay.
Do I have the only copy of this?
I don't know. Normally, the chairman of the planning board gets it, but if you want to give it to me, I'll make sure it gets delivered to
It's signed
him.
in ink, that's the only reason I asked.
Okay.
pass
Ty,
that
would
to
you?
her?
Thank you, sir.
I have a letter from Highlands Arts Alliance. I'm pretty sure I sent this to everybody. Town board?
No, I don't think so, Bob.
Maybe not.
No, I don't think so. I don't remember seeing it.
Actually, yeah, okay, it's to everybody. I thought I sent it to everybody. If not, I will, but I'll just briefly read it. The HAA is a not-for-profit community arts group like those found in other towns, such as the Goshen Art League, Sugar Loaf Guild, Beacon Arts, and yes, Cornwall Arts Collective.
You did,
It-
Bob.
I did?
You did.
I did,
You did.
okay. So I just wanted to make the board aware that this gentleman is asking to come and talk to us and offer anything he can to the town.
Could I just make a quick comment about
Oh,
this?
absolutely, yes.
That I have had the opportunity to work with Jay Leroy with my time with the Chamber of Commerce, actually. And he's been very instrumental in a lot of different things that we've attempted to do. And you may remember this goes back a couple of years ago, the visitors brochure map thing that the Chamber of Commerce did that shows all the businesses. It was actually him who was very instrumental in doing all the artwork for us and stuff like that. So he's from Highland Falls and very much a big supporter and in line with a lot of the things the Chamber and the Art Walk and stuff like that was working and continuing to work to do to bring arts into the community. You know, personally, I think he'd be, a great asset for us to invite in, listen to, and he has a lot of great ideas. But a good guy, good guy.
You mentioned the brochure that was done with the map on it. Down at Brooks's Lake Park, the Palisades Park Commission put up the kiosk for us. And half of the kiosk is taken up with a map of the area and the trails and the few of the ponds that we have, what have you. The other half is, I put those maps in.
Yeah, good.
And to be right about it, I cut the advertising out of it and just left the two maps. So,
Good, that's good.
so
That's good.
that's nice. So the
Yeah.
people from out of town that are down at Brooks's Lake Park
Yeah.
can see what we have to offer in the area.
And not to speak for the Chamber, but I think, not this year, but I think once we sort of get past all this, I think that's going to be something that they're going to be doing like next year.
Okay.
Is updating that and coming up with another edition, stuff like that. But we'll let them
Okay.
talk about that.
Yeah, it looks good down there. I'm glad financial reports, I transferred into the paying account $134,020. Covered a check run dated June the 18th. The big items are MVP, CDPHP, and Shelter Point, $32,000 for medical premiums for town employees. Key Bank, $2,048 for credit card expenses. Wex Fleet Pride, wait a minute now. Wex Back, $3,726 for fuel credit card for all departments.
Should be Wex Bank. Wex Bank, that's what you get.
Wex, oh, okay, bank. Somebody may have got a typo and it wasn't me.
Wasn't me either,
I know.
and I am innocent.
Anyway, CEJJ Incorporated, $23,027 for garbage cans. Fleet Pride, $2,567 for sanitation vehicle maintenance on truck number 67. Global Montello Group, $2,736 for sanitation diesel fuel. New York State Municipal Workers' Comp, $33,264 compensation insurance. O&R Utilities, $3,980 for May electric supply and delivery for all departments. TAM Enterprises, $2,092 for sewer sludge removal. And Rockland County Waste, $26,000 for May landfill charges. Any questions on any of those expenses? We all okay? All right. Board Liaison Report, we'll start out with Richie Sullivan,
Thank you.
Councilman.
Thank you. My apologies, I have a frog in my throat from being outside all day on a hot day. The Zoning Board of Appeals has been meeting remotely for over a year now. They met remotely on June 16th. I know the matter was not a public hearing. I didn't make that meeting, so I'm not sure if it will be a public hearing at the next meeting. I will let everybody know. And I'm sure they're going to still meet remotely. All the information's on the website when that happens. The planning board was the night after that. I was unable to make that one. Maybe Justin can enlighten me on anything important that might have happened. Anything significant?
pretty typical meeting. They authorized approval of one project and reviewed 2 other projects.
And I would just like to take a moment to thank both of them. Like Dunkin' Donuts is I see things online about is Dunkin' Donuts, is there a problem with the building department? Can they hire workers? All these things. They're about a day away from getting their temporary CO, if I'm not mistaken.
I signed it today.
Well, the planning board did a great job because, as I've said before, they allotted a certain amount of money to proper out in an escrow to have it inspected by a consultant firm. There wasn't too much burden on Philip Hannawalt, who's down there. He was here all weekend. He's down there right now. That kid is busy. So the planning board set up and did a great job. And I want to thank Eric and Jack Janron for their leadership in both of those boards. Olga sent an email out today. She couldn't make it tonight. And she has sent the EV proposal before. I think she wants us to perhaps entertain an invite for, I think his name is Nick DiTilio from, I forget the name of the company, to come speak with us. He represented interest. I have no objections if the board would like to have him come speak to us about his proposal. We've all seen it. After rebates and whatnot, I think it's around $4,000 for the parking lot down by you, which we discussed last meeting. Not sure when he can come, but I just figured I'd throw it out there. In the building department for the month of May, there were 27 permit applications received, 26 issued, 6 certificates of occupancy were issued, 11 building permit inspections. It says here 0 fire safety inspections. They're going on concurrently, but with O'Rourke from Lincoln Tully, they're well underway. 35 advisory notices and violations were issued. 1 was completed. That means he has 34 that have to do again and again. That's what keeps him busy. 16 municipal searches were completed. 2 planning board applications were received. There were 5 FOIL requests, 47 total number of physical inspections. I wanted to talk about Dunkin' Donuts, which I did. So I'm not sure when they're going to open, but I think they're very close with the CO being issued. On water usage, so if I look at my little chart here, because I'm not all that well prepared, for May of this year, we used 87,664,000 gallons for the month of May. A year ago, that number was 85,972. So we're up a little bit. Everybody remembers what happened a year ago? I know Bog Meadow, I was out there the other day, is like 98% and whatnot. Use your water sparingly, just because, just wanted to throw that out there. Down at the sewer plant, I talked to Bob about this. I'm a little bit remiss. It's me. There's $11,000 remaining in the equipment line, and there's also a lot of money remaining for contracted services, which is what we normally use to inspect pipes. I've been so busy, and they have too. I would like to have Lincoln Tully, have TAM continue to use the shared services contract to inspect more lines. We've done a little bit over a third of the system. We've had some lines jetted. It's 35 years old. I'm going to have that continue. But out of the $11,000 for equipment, Jimmy, the guy running the plant, called me. They have a washer-dryer combination unit down there, which is probably about as old as the plant. And the washer no longer works. And he was saying, I'll save money by just getting a washer. There's just not physically the room. I think we should just replace the whole unit. It's about $1,200 from what I've seen online for a washer-dryer. If there's anybody that needs a uniform wash, it's the guys working down at the sewer plant, which isn't a lot to ask for. So I haven't finished my research. I talked to Pat Patterson about it. And if anybody feels compelled with the old unit to declare it surplus before we get rid of it, I don't think anybody's going to buy it. It's junk. So that's the only thing I have to say about the sewer plant. And I was charged with the task of working on negotiations with Richie Perry for the highway contract. I contacted Timmy McCabe. I think him and Ryan are going to do it together. Ryan's on vacation now, and Tim's going on vacation until July 21st, so we'll start on that at the end of the month. And, the only other thing, I didn't write anything down. I'd like to thank Ty for including me. I don't want to steal his thunder, because I know he's going to talk a lot about it in the Juneteenth celebration. And take it away, Ty.
No, well, thank you so much, Councilman Sullivan. I really want to talk about two things before we get to that. Good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. First of all, emergency management. I want to talk about the fight against COVID-19 is still very real, and so people need to continue to be vigilant. Just to throw you a few numbers out here, COVID hospitalizations in New York currently at 346. Of the 55,000 people that were in 334 tests that were reported yesterday, 290 or 0.52% were positive. The 7-day average was 0.39%. Those are all good numbers, right? So under 1% positivity rate. But there were 89 patients in ICU yesterday, up from 4 the previous day, 42 of them intubated. And sadly, we lost 3 New Yorkers to the virus on yesterday. So again, that makes it real. You know, someone's loved ones and someone's family members that are no longer with us. So continue to protect yourselves out there. First of all, I would highly encourage you, if you had not done so, to get vaccinated. We got 71.9% of the adult New Yorkers have completed at least one dose. Over the past 24 hours, they've administered 24,746 total doses. So, you know, that's the main way to continue to move in the forward progress. But then outside of that, if you haven't got vaccinated, continue to wear your mask when necessary, and then socially distance, and of course, continue to wash your hands as frequently as you can. Now, along those same lines of protecting ourselves against a virus, we have some extreme hot weather that we need to be concerned about. You know, if you're spending any time outside and you realize today was a scorcher, and it's not going to get any better in the next few days. It's probably high 90s, but it feels more like hundreds. And so with that type weather, we can easily become a heat casualty, you know, by dehydration and go into what's called heat exhaustion, or have what's called heat cramps, or the last thing you want is a heat stroke. Becomes a crisis at that point. So hydrate. Also avoid working to exertion when you're outside. Take breaks. Be careful during this weekend that you're going to have some possibly warm weather and you're going to be traveling and you're going to be out experiencing water sports. I saw that there were 2 drownings in the Delaware River. Apparently that river connects somewhere in Sullivan County, somehow in a state park. But there were 2 people, young people, that went to have a good time and ultimately drowned. So I just want to put out a word of caution there, as we come out of this, you know, extreme period of COVID-19 protection where we were on lockdown and so forth. We got the opportunity now to do more than we did in the whole year. Be ashamed to lose people just because we were careless. So that being said, as we get ready to approach the 4th, I want to say Happy Independence Day for folks who are getting ready to celebrate that. But we had a sort of an independence last week with Juneteenth, right? The end of slavery in America was celebrated. Of course, we've been doing that for the last 6 years. The rest of the country is catching up now. And so I just want to say thank you to my colleague for the shout out, but more importantly, thank you to Kelly, thank you to June and her team for all the support. Thank you to all the board members here, all the community members, the law enforcement. I mean, it was just a total team effort to be able to pull off what I thought arguably probably was one of the best ones we've done so far. And so a lot of folks had a great time, and I was one of them. So thanks to everybody. Hats off to you. I think we really did our community proud. And so as we come out of that form of independence, now we going into the July 4th, which should be a big deal. It's always a big deal here in Highland Falls, New York. People call me from all over. And I just want to tell everybody, be safe. That's all I got, Supervisor.
Thank you, sir. Before I move on to the next, thank you very much for all the work you do on these community events. You do a tremendous job.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
It's much appreciated. Councilman Harris.
In traveling around the community early in the morning, I'm always impressed on how things look uniform compared to other communities where everybody may have to make their own arrangements for garbage pickup and using cans. By having uniform cans, it creates a neat appearance. People can put things in the cans and it disappear. And if they have big items, all they have to do is call up and notify the highway department and arrangements are made. I believe I've had a couple of requests for people looking for cans. Put them in touch with the highway garage and you can get cans. Just thanking the highway and the sanitation department for all the good work they're doing. And just a comment, do we still have to have these partitions here for the time being?
No.
No, so maybe at some point we can take them down.
Okay.
And we'll celebrate.
I don't know about this one.
Maybe
That'll be the judge.
That'll be the judge.
We were messing with the judge.
But that's all I have. That's all.
The blue recycled cans at this point in time are unavailable.
Okay,
But
but
as
but get on the list.
as soon as
Get
they
on the
get it.
list and we'll get them.
Yes. Councilman Marlin.
Yes, thanks. Just a couple of things tonight. Again, good evening, everyone. Echo Ty's comments. Wish you all a very happy 4th of July weekend coming up. Definitely a lot to celebrate, I think. Regarding the ambulance corps, just let you all know that our 2 full-time employees that we decided to do, convert them from part-time to full-time, they have done that. They've got all the paperwork taken care of, and that will begin this next pay cycle, which is the 3rd of July, which is Saturday. So that's when we'll see them starting to kick in as far as their time that they will be at the ambulance corps responding to calls. Just really more because I guess I was curious where we are right now with response to calls. We're trending back into the 80%. This month. I'm sort of wanting to see how we end this part-time thing before we go into the full-time, quite frankly. And so where we are as of the 27th of June is there have been a total of 66 calls so far this month, in which our ambulance corps has responded to 54 of them. From a percentage perspective, that's just shy of 82%, which is sort of back to where it was during the winter months. Took a little bit of a dip in April, I believe it was, May, definitely. So we're back up there. So, you know, the push here obviously is now that we've made this decision to convert 2 of the part-timers to full-time is to see these numbers going up. And so I'll be reporting back to you all and to the public in terms of how that is all looking. I had an opportunity to meet with the Garrison Command team since our last meeting. And again, I do that on a monthly basis as far as the liaison with the West Point Garrison. As has been announced and probably everyone's aware of, today is the last day of the reception day for the new class cadets coming in. They've got their swearing-in ceremony and those kinds of things tomorrow morning. One thing is related to West Point, but not the new cadets coming in, is got a notification too recently that West Point's going to be having their newcomers orientation in mid-July. I think the date is the 21st of July. Chamber of Commerce is running with this as they have in the past, but I just wanted to make that announcement, especially if there are any business owners that may be listening for the entire community, that contact the Chamber of Commerce. They've got the paperwork that is necessary for a business to fill out, to have a booth, a table, that kind of stuff. They have it at Eisenhower Hall. They did not do it last year because of the whole COVID stuff. They are doing that this year. So it's a good opportunity for our businesses, local civic organizations to get some visibility and introduce themselves to the newcomers that are staff and faculty that are coming to West Point for 3+ years, the typical tour there. Lastly, had an opportunity to attend the village board meeting last week, and a lot of discussion about a lot of different topics. Rather than going into all of that, I would just encourage people to listen to the YouTube video of the board meeting. And some other things came out that I've been talking to people about and stuff like that, but probably the best thing would be just to listen to that. And that's all I have for right now.
Well, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
While we're doing reports and liaisons, I would like to ask Councilman King and Councilman Modlin to be the representative of the town board for police contract negotiations. I'll leave it up to you, Ty, to set up a time and place.
Okay.
It's on their end. You can't have the negotiations during a time that they're working. They have to be, that they're not working, the other way around. You can't call them in off duty to sit down to a contract. They got to be on duty. Am I right on that, Justin?
I believe that's accurate, but in essence, yes, they get paid for the time that they are doing their negotiations. But in the past, it's been easy to work out cooperative times.
We're about 6 months away, so it's time to get started.
Okay.
The chief and I spoke for about an hour and a half, 2 hours the other day, mostly about towing. We have a new towing contractor in town. We had them point out what they disliked about our towing ordinance. Chief, you took a bunch of notes down. If you could put them together, give them to me, I'll give them to Justin, and we'll see how we can put them into our town towing ordinance.
We're just about done with them.
Okay. Do you have anything for us, Chief?
No.
Okay. Well, Kelly, you have anything?
No.
Okay. Part of our conversation, the chief and I, were, should it happen that the village were to abolish their police department, how are we going to handle it? I have 2 officers there with about 75 years of experience. I'm not worried about how we're going to handle it. We will handle it, but no problem whatsoever. I'm not afraid of it. And nor is the chief, and nor is the deputy chief. One of the things to enhance our department, this wouldn't enhance our department, but we would need about 7 more people, we figured, right, chief?
With supervisors, yes, sir.
About 7 more people. We'd like to make the clerk a full-time clerk. And the enhancement to the department is crisis intervention. Now, we have, deputy chief just went to classes on that?
Yes, sir.
If you could explain it, what
So,
that,
one of the things in our police reform plan is crisis negotiations, crisis intervention. So CIT training has been very popular for the last 5 years. As a matter of fact, the police chiefs were the first full-time police academy in New York State to implement it for recruits. Unfortunately for us, we don't have the opportunity to send all our part-timers for 40 hours worth of training. So the deputy chief went last week, and now we have 5. So for a 22-person police department, we have 5 CIT officers. Some have been trained in other places. So one of our goals was that we'd be more involved with CIT in our police reform. So myself, the deputy chief, Officer Witt, Officer Mang, and Officer Kelly are all CIT trained. So hopefully we bring a couple more. And the key is recognize people in crisis and address it. So not just to say to somebody, hey, you're in crisis, we're going to call the ambulance and transport you. We also report to mental health. So we have a mental health reporting form that we signed off on. And I actually chair the CIT committee, and there's a lot of police departments in Orange County that are doing this. And one of the things that just recently came out of this CIT was, what are we doing for our own officers? So right now, the county, Sarah Coletti, who's a police officer in Middletown PD, with the Chief Wanchu from Middletown, we're looking to put together an EAP program for peers. So we would send officers from the department as well to be trained to assist other officers who have an issue. So it's coming full circle, and we're pretty happy about it.
thank you very much. This crisis intervention, is this part of the governor's reform plan?
Well, one of the things we have to recognize in the plan, that we should recognize, is how do we deal with folks who have mental health issues? Besides just saying, okay, put them in an ambulance and, they're gone. Because we want to be able to see that person in the community and see them again. So yeah, that was part of it. So we decided that we would continue to train people, and like I said, 5 people in a small police department like that is a very good number. So our officers know that if they have a situation where someone has a mental health issue, they do a case report, they send it to us. We have paperwork that we send if we think it's necessary to the county, so that we know that those individuals or people that are maybe having repeat episodes, that they would be addressed by the county. And with that is, part of our plan is that we reach out to the county direct and say, hey, listen, we have an issue with someone in the community and we would like you to follow up with it. So it gives us almost a 2-tier approach. The police coming, not just to say, okay, we're here and we're done, but also mental health and the police getting together with somebody. So it's more community involvement.
Excellent, good, thank you. I sent this out to the board. It's a 3-page request for information that, if you read the first paragraph, this is the, what would you call it, the organization that is is being hired by the village to study the police department, whether it should consolidate, dissolve, whatever it should do. It's 3 pages. I asked Kelly, she said one of her people in her office would probably take a week to get all the information together that's needed on this. If you read the first paragraph, it's directed directly to the village. The memo is sent to the mayor, and the mayor handed this to me and says something basically, could I take a look at this and see if I can do this? Well, I'm not going to jump right into it right now. I'd like to see where the village is going to go. I think on the 7th of July, there's a meeting with this group. And before we go through all of this stuff, I mean, there's things like identify each employee dates which may be appropriate, date of hire, retirement, resignation, fire date, date of leave, and any known return dates. The current collective bargaining agreement, that's easy. The salaries and benefits, all the vehicles, and how many miles they have on them. There's a lot of stuff in this. And I don't feel, I feel sorry for the village that's got to do this. I mean, you're hiring a company for, what was it, $12,000? For $12,000, and they're going to hand this to you and tell you to fill it out. I mean, I'm not saying that us, I'm just saying with the village. It would seem to me that the representative from that company could go to the village hall and sit down with the various departments and come up with all this information. And if you guys disagree with me, please say so. I mean, that's why I sent it out to you. I mean, as I think you've gotten to know me, I don't go alone on these things. I need the permission of the board, or at least the board's thoughts.
I attended that meeting that Jim attended also. I couldn't get in, it was pretty crowded, so I didn't stay for the whole thing, and I thought I could watch it on TV, but it wasn't on TV.
No.
And I don't really want to get too involved in comments, except to say that quell the hearsay. For example, one person said that we voted in the past on keeping our police. Not that I can ever recall. I was on a 6-person committee that sent a survey to every resident in the town outside the village. We put the data together and we presented it to the town board, I don't know, about 15 years ago. And the findings were published in the paper. They're probably somewhere in this building, but I have no recollection of our police department ever being put to a referendum to vote on. People talking about 911 doesn't work, 911 does work. Like, that's not subjective. It either does or it doesn't. So gotta quell that stuff, and the rest of it I think is actually pretty simple math as far as what it's gonna cost for 7 more officers. And it's not complicated like everything else we do with districts. It's one district. It won't be any district in Corbin Hill or anything like that. I really don't see where it's that hard to come up with a number when we're prepared to do so.
911, our county representative, Lori Tortel, has gotten in contact with Commissioner Casey.
He's Commissioner of Public Safety.
Yeah, And she, on my behalf, she's invited him to one of our meetings to talk about 911, pros and cons. So the first chance he gets to come to one of our meetings, I'll invite him in.
Well,
And
those 7 full-time people or part-time people that you would add?
I'm sorry, I don't,
If you added 7 people to take...
oh, that would be part-time.
Part-time.
Part-time, oh, yeah. I'm just letting the board know I have a grievance from a highway department employee. He filed the grievance properly, and our attorney will be looking into it.
Which department is that?
Highway department. Highway department. You've been getting information on it,
Yeah, okay.
rather than me mention his name, you've been
Right.
getting information about it. Okay, we're all aware that Verizon has requested to put a cell tower, and I should say a cell phone tower. When you talk about a cell tower, we're talking about a tower located within a 12 by 12 space. It should enhance cell phone usage in the town. They offered us a contract, which our attorney looked at it, found a few things that he didn't like. We returned it to them. I negotiated a better price, which I think we're going to get. So I don't have the contract now because they didn't send it to us.
Yeah, it was still in their legal department to insert the changes that were requested, but we anticipate it shortly.
So when I get that, it'll be subject to our review. It's not something I'm just going to sign off on. It's our review, whether we approve of it or disapprove of it. Let's see. High Point Utility Resolution. Which version are we going to talk about here?
It was the third draft I sent, but hopefully it's the only draft that you have in front of you.
It is the only draft. Okay.
There were very modest changes from drafts 1, 2, and 3, but some of the council had comments were incorporated.
Okay, if you would,
Sure.
and what we're going to do, I'm going to have Justin read the resolution. We'll discuss it and put it up for a vote. Or not.
Certainly. A resolution in support of the Village of Highland Falls High Point Utility LDC. Whereas the Village of Highland Falls High Point Utility LDC, or HPU, was formed on May 11th, 2015 as a New York nonprofit local development corporation to benefit the Village of Highland Falls and its surrounding community in all areas related to utility or industrial-related development or improvements, in particular with respect to all opportunities to partner and assist the U.S. Military Academy at West Point in its 50-year duration utility privatization, or UP, U.S. Code Title 10, Section 2688 process now underway in any way that might benefit the local civilian community. And whereas on May 8th, 2017, the Town Board of the Town of Highlands unanimously passed a resolution in support of the work performed by HPU, and whereas on August 14th, 2017, the Town Board of the Town of Highlands unanimously passed a resolution in further support of the efforts of the HPU, wherein the Town Board appointed a liaison and project engineer to facilitate work by the LDC that could benefit the Town of Highlands. And whereas HPU has continued to work for the betterment of the community at large, and specifically with regard to the coordination of utilities at West Point and within the town. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board confirms its support for HPU's ongoing efforts that support the community of the Town of Highlands, including the Village of Highland Falls, in matters related to utilities or industrial development within the community. And be it further resolved that any or all projects or undertakings that require the fiscal support of the town shall in each instance be specifically presented, authorized, and approved in advance by the Town Board of the Town of Highlands. And be it further resolved that notwithstanding the town board's support of HPU, the Village of Highland Falls High Point Utility LDC, its members, and consultants are not an agent or representative of the Town of Highlands Town Board, and the Town Board retains all decision-making authority and responsibility for any project or specific undertaking. Be it further resolved that the foregoing resolution shall take effect immediately.
Any comments on that? No? No? John, since you wrote most of it, do you have any comments?
The only thing I just wanted to say, an LDC form like this is actually becomes an agent of the state, even though it was formed here. So it's sort of like the resolution that was passed for the community choice aggregation. It's a state program that the community can support and take advantage of, basically. So we have to make an annual report to the state as the only necessary thing. We don't pay any taxes, we're part of the covered in the LDC. And we could use some more volunteers. We could wrestle this member down here to go with this paper.
He keeps giving me too much stuff to do.
We'd like to have anybody with obviously any knowledge of utilities or any experience that we're more than happy. We're losing a couple of people. But we do have this general come in July, we think, and if he says he wants this to be a model at West Point, part of that model that we got West Point to agree to is that we give power to the community at the same rate that the power that West Point would pay for, just be below market rate. And first, we could take care of our critical services, our water, our sewer, our fire, and our police. And then that separate program that you guys already accepted, that will allow us to any excess power to be sold to individuals, anybody in the community who signed up as a group for a lower price power. So there are two separate things there. One for the emergency services that is sort of part of what we've always held up, and now the individual mandate. So it's a way that and we could even use some assets in the village as part of this, like our water systems, we could combine those later, whatever. We would love to see, we don't want West Point to forget us if they privatize their utilities. That's what we initiated the formation back in 2015, because once they sell off all the utilities, the contractors have little concern with the local community. So we wanted to be in the middle of it. That's what this accomplishes, that purpose.
Okay, so will this resolution be helpful to the HPU?
Absolutely, because it's a little bit pared down, but it basically shows the support of the community to the generals. That's what we're going to say.
Okay.
We've just recently gone and let them know what we're doing, and they're supporting, and that means that we can support you in the sense that the Army's actually supposed to coordinate with local communities and work with them. West Point hasn't always done that, depending on who we had there at the right time. So this is actually Army-wide or DOD-wide program, and we're reminding them of it and something that they should take advantage of it. This general, his name is Ed Daly. He's a class of somewhere in the 80s, maybe 87, I'm not sure. He's a 4-star. He owns all the bases in the whole Army right now, and the new organization they've got. 147 Army bases, including the big ones. West Point's just a little bitty thing compared to most of this stuff, but our argument is it's a high-profile place that everybody knows and sees, and that if we do a good job here and we want to include the host community, that's something that should be done all over the United States. So we want to have as many solar project, maybe a hydro project, a wind project, a CHP, combined heat power, as many different types as we could, and then also demonstrate how the local community can become involved. The county has $400,000 they've been given to help with this on the civilian side. And I'm hoping that the High Point Utility can become the contractors to help that happen. Actually, everybody's been working for free for 4 or 5 years, but I'm hoping that they can active work. Our water, our sewer, we actually ran a whole RFP and had $500,000 design to combine the two wastewater plants. several years ago, and it was approved in Washington, but Westport said put it on the back burner and never did it. So
Right,
we had a number of experiences that were frustrating to tell, but we did save them $50,000, and they gave us a small part of that, so we got a little bit of money in the kitty. It's a nonprofit for the community, really, and because our community is like an island, it's particularly applicable here. But we also want to get the county to support us because they've got a level of staff that we don't have here locally. And they can run this $400,000 grant that we've got. So that's pretty much the whole story.
Thank you, John. And thank you for your commitment to this project and your colleagues. We appreciate it, and we know where you're heading, and we hope you can get there. I'll ask for a motion to move the resolution.
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Perry?
Aye.
Councilmember Motley?
Aye.
Supervisor Lindsay?
Aye. June, would you see that Mr. Dotson gets a copy of the resolution, please?
The only thing I'll add is some of the three resolutions from 2014, 15, and 17, which are superseded by this, have verbiage in there that is now antiquated. For example, Bill Etzel, my friend, is no longer the liaison because he's not on the board. Just making a note of that, that's all.
Okay, moving on. Dial-a-bus. As we all know, Colleen is leaving on July the 29th. So I would ask for a motion to move the responsibility of the dial-a-bus to the Highway Department. And that should be done no later than July the 29th. In doing so, we would make the Highway Department, well, actually, she's called a confidential secretary to the Highway Superintendent. We would be making her full-time. So I'll ask for a motion to do so.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Thank you. Is anyone against that? Okay, no.
I'm gonna send out one of my infamously long emails on salary for that position, what Colleen makes, what Tiffany makes now, et cetera, and so on. You'll enjoy it.
Now, as everyone knows, we've hired an outside company to do fire inspections in the town. These are fire inspections not for single-family homes, but they are for businesses and multi-family homes. We're paying this fire inspector to do these inspections. Ballpark, how much have we paid so far?
A few thousand. It was a few thousand, I think.
How many?
A few thousand.
A few thousand? Okay.
Is that right?
I wanna say I signed a voucher for $8,000.
8,000?
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was 8,000. Okay, now, we have a nominal fee for these inspections. People have to pay a fee to get inspected. Now, that shouldn't sound strange to anybody, because anything you get inspected, such as my car, I pay a fee for that. State gets part of it. The garage gets part of it. So there should be no question on whether or not a fee should be charged, nor should there be a question as to whether you have to pay the fee. So there are some people that have flat out refused to pay the fee. So what I would like to do with this resolution is add the fee to their taxes. So,
That, he said almost all of it right there. So in Chapter 82, your Building Construction and Fire Prevention Code, it specifically authorizes these fire inspections. It specifically authorizes the fees, and it has certain enforcement mechanisms. This would just add one more enforcement mechanism where they could be re-levied on the tax bills, just like sewer and water charges. So that would add that to your, by resolution, that would be added, and that's precisely what this says.
The only thing I'll add before, because I had a lot to do, is before we vote on this, and I'm looking forward to voting on it. So on the Highlands history page on Facebook, a while back they had talked about every building that burned in Highland Falls which seems to be like most of them one time or another. Bowling alley twice, Joseph's Restaurant, the Ville Apartments, which are long gone now, they're condos, Southgate, Homestead Avenue, just one after another. We all know what happened. I forget the firefighter's name, my apologies, in Spring Valley, down in that building. And we all saw what happened right now with those 159 people down there in Florida. And so while we don't have any condos built on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean on beach sand, we have some situations out there that will get worse without having some attention given to it. Both fire chiefs have come to me and expressed an interest in having this done, so we did it. And this is what we're gonna have to do to get the nominal fee that we charge for it.
Okay, resolution authorizing fire inspection fee enforcement pursuant to Chapter 82, Building Construction and Fire Prevention. Do I have a motion to move the resolution?
Motion?
Seconded? Roll call?
Councilmember Sullivan?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Perry?
Aye.
Councilmember Modlin?
Aye.
Supervisor Lindsay?
Aye. As I mentioned, the chief and I and the two towing operators had a very lengthy meeting, discussed what they didn't like about our ordinance, what needed to be updated in our ordinance, and what we would like to see and what they would like to see. I'm not so sure of one of the things, Chief, is that they want to limit it to residents, local resident businesses. I don't think we can do that. Justin's shaking his head no already. So that's one of the things we can't do, but we can make it so as that the out-of-town person has to get here in 15 minutes?
We raised it to 30 overall based on traffic and conditions. So it was a sliding scale in some respects, 15 minutes, then 20 if there was traffic, and then if it was a tow, it was disabled on the side of the roadway. So both gentlemen agreed that 30 minutes is the max. So that would be in any condition, which we thought would be fair, because in some situations, Mr. Bosch said getting up the mountain is kind of tough. And we're going to monitor that. So our message to patrol is when you request the tow of the day, which is already, the schedule's already out at Orange County 911, that time will go in the blotter or the case report, and the arrival time will be in there as well. And every time there's a tow, we will look at the times, and if we have to, we will speak to each one. And I thought it was a very good meeting on behalf of
Yes,
the
yes.
company. I thought they were, I applaud them both for the way that they cooperated with the supervisor. I think it's going to work out.
I think it should be mentioned, maybe in the newspaper, as a result of this meeting and whoever's at home listening, that especially if you're local, you have an accident, God forbid, under certain circumstances, you can request who you want. You don't have to take the tow of the day. But if your vehicle's in the middle of the road, the officer in charge of the accident scene will call the tow of the day,
That's correct. If it's
regardless
on
of
the
what you
highway.
want.
So if you're able to get over the shoulder of the road and you say, I'm going to call X, Y, and Z tow company, and there's no safety problem, there's no traffic problem, you can call however you want. But if we have to leave an officer there and it's close by, we deem that's going to be towed today. Anything on the roadway, accidents, traffic related that we get called to, we need to remove it quickly. We have a discussion with AAA and some other situations here, but I think it was pretty clear to the officers exactly what they need to do. We're going to incorporate it with Lexapol into our general order. There's a lengthy message going out to everybody. The schedules are out, so we'll see how it goes. But again, yeah, if you're on the roadway, we want to clear, especially if you're on the loop on 9W or one of the state highways, we want to get you off the road as quick as possible.
Yeah, but it's a good meeting all in all.
I thought it was
Yeah.
well deserved.
Anybody have anything else?
Well, just on the
Yes.
towing thing, if there's an existing ordinance, I'd like to see it. I don't, is there an
There
existing
is,
one?
yep,
Okay.
there,
And
towing
just,
code.
I know that it would, but we probably can't force it. It would be nice if an out-of-towner had to have a vehicle planted in town before the fact, rather than rolling from out of town. Curious about that. And that they actually have a vehicle planted and don't just rent a spot pretending that they do. And this will only be for the town outside the village of Highland Falls, correct?
This is just our total.
Okay.
Just-
Okay.
This is for the whole town, yeah.
Okay.
One of the problems, especially with the new guy, put it that way, he has a heavy-duty truck. So he's not gonna plant his heavy-duty truck in town. And if he were to plant one in town and but need the heavy-duty one, then there's a problem there.
I know who he is.
Any other public comment? Any board comment?
Just one more thing. People at home are probably looking at all you guys sitting together and me way far away from Ty King. It's okay if you put me over there at the next meeting, okay, Ryan? Thank you.
Okay, I received a email request from the PBA president requesting that we review the actions that we took with the officers that resigned because of retirement, and then what we did to hire them back. Do we need to review that again? And if so, would someone like to make a motion to go into executive session for that matter?
No.
Is there any motion to go into executive session? Being there's no motion, there's no executive session. That's all I got. Anybody else got anything? We just double check before we... Ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.